Yeah. Without further ado, I really appreciate this guy coming on with us because today's a show where we want to have some fun. And John Clark, to me, is a man who has fun. He's a man who embraces life.
Huge Springsteen fan, like myself.
He is probably like you, Bob, going through withdrawal. Like I said, just like you are.
Something coming up. Nils Lofgren let a little hint out the other day. Oh, yeah. That's all.
Well, you know what? That's now the reason why we're having the great John Clark from NBC Sports Philadelphia on with us. Wait, John, do you know about this Bruce Springsteen thing that Bob's alluding to?
No, that's a heck of a tease. Can you let me know what's going on?
There you go. Nils Lofgren put it out on Twitter the other day that next year there will be a full-year tour, and the record that will be coming along with it might be one of the best that Bruce has ever done. He called it a record. Some may call it an album.
What's the record?
What's that?
They're going to drop a digital album, I guess is what they're going to say now.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
That's a better way of putting it, John. Yes.
Well, okay.
Well, this is great news.
Yes. See, I brightened your day already.
2021 is going to be a better year.
Can't be worse.
Nils Lofgren, by the way, obviously he played Ivan Drago in Rocky IV. So there we go. Now, John, could you
Springsteen shaming?
Can you walk us through something real quick, John? I want to go back in time just a little bit, not necessarily the news yesterday or even of this week, but I believe it was last week. You posted a picture of yourself on social media going into Citizens Bank Park under new media protocol. What was that like?
It was very weird because, you go in the morning and everybody's lined up outside. Everybody's, socially distanced and wearing masks. And then you come in Citizens Bank Park and you do your normal security check, but then you have a big screen, almost like one of those airport check-in kiosks, and they ask you to look into it. And it is a temperature check. Now, I've gone to different places where they put that thing at your forehead, which is a little disconcerting as it is. They've got something that kind of looks and is shaped like something else, and it's shooting at your forehead.
Yeah.
That's how they get your temperature. But this was pretty cool. This was almost like a kiosk where you look into it, and within a couple seconds, it has your temperature. So naturally, in this day and age, I had to take a selfie, so let everybody know what the whole process looked like.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, no, the whole thing was very different. And the thing that's tough is you're just not surrounded by people. That was one of the great things about going to the ballpark, covering the Phillies and other teams. You're just not surrounded by people, and it's very isolated now being there.
Now, did you happen to be down there yesterday?
No, I skipped out on that one.
I don't blame you. But I know you obviously you've been down there as we just talked about. How weird is it seeing the baseball players on the field with nobody in the stands?
Yeah, I tell you, you hear all the little tiny sounds, like when the catcher's mitt, gets the pop of the baseball. It's just so much louder, and it reverberates in the empty stadium. And then the crack of the bat, they might be able to hear that out in the streets because when you have an empty stadium, the sound just echoes. And it's so loud. So you hear every little tiny thing. You hear little laughter. You hear little conversation. And you hear Bryce Harper yelling out, "Sign him," after JT Realmuto's home run. So you hear every little tiny thing. And I think they're going to have to do something about that for the games, whether it's pump in some crowd noise or, like some radio shows, they pump in that noise of the lunchtime and you hear plates and silverware clanging.
Sure.
So I just think they're going to have to pump in something. Music wouldn't be bad because it's just too silent. And like JT Realmuto said yesterday, he's like, when there's nobody in the stadium, you have to create your own energy. And so they're talking a lot more to each other. I don't want to say false energy, but you're trying to create some juice.
Sure. You've mentioned JT Realmuto now a couple times, and we've been talking about him throughout the morning. Are you confident they're going to get a deal done? Because it didn't sound too inspiring yesterday. Yesterday, listening to JT Realmuto, and a week and a half ago.
I will put everything on the line. I will make a wager with you that JT Realmuto will stay with the Phillies. There is absolutely no way the Phillies, after making the trade that they did, can let him walk. And that would, to me, that might signal the end of Matt Klentak if that happens.
Okay.
It is the responsibility of the Phillies to re-sign one of the best dudes, one of the best players, the best catcher in baseball. He is everything you want as a teammate. And by the way, when John Middleton sold Bryce Harper on the Phillies, one of the things that Bryce Harper said is he promised he would build the best team as he possibly can and spend money around Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper spread out his contract over 13 years, take less average value every year so that they could keep a guy like JT Realmuto and sign big players. It would be awful if he walked, and it's not going to happen. They will make sure he is a Philadelphia Philly. There's no way they're going to let him walk.
All right, John, since you're talking in absolutes, I have to ask you this question. Buster Olney came out yesterday and said he's 30% certain that baseball will start, 0% chance that it will end. Where do you stand on it? Do you think them work out? Are you comfortable that it could get through?
Wow, it's such a tough question because you take a look at MLS soccer, right? They started up, and they've already had several teams who have had to back out of games and can't compete because they've had 6, 7 guys test positive for the coronavirus. So, you know what? I think there's going to be times where maybe a team, they're going to field a team, but the team might be missing some of their best players at some point. Will they make it through an entire season? Buster Olney says 0%. Wow.
That's what he said, yeah. He said there's only 30% chance they even start up.
I think it'll start up. I think it'll start up. I mean, if you're testing the players every other day, I know they're having a problem right now getting the test back in time sometimes. But, in my opinion, I don't think anybody's going to spread the coronavirus at the ballpark if somebody has it. The only place I think somebody's going to get the coronavirus is outside the ballpark. In a regular life, going out to dinner, doing things. And that's where the players, the responsibility is really on the players. And Bryce Harper said it, we can't have guys going out to drink at bars. You can't have that when you're on the road. I do think it's going to get started. Will it finish? I'm at 50%, and I hate to hedge because I think you're going to have positive cases, and I think you might have guys that aren't able to play, but they can still field a team with the amount of roster spots that they're going to have. But it's a scary proposition. And also I think of NFL. If baseball was having problems getting the test back in time, what about training camp? When you're talking about 80-plus players and you're talking about 20-plus coaches and so many personnel for a training camp, I think that's far tougher. I think NFL is far tougher than baseball.
Well, speaking with John Clark, NBC Sports Philadelphia, to shift now to basketball. Joel Embiid gets out of the car yesterday wearing the full hazmat suit. He posts interesting pictures on Instagram. Obviously, he looks like he's having his fun already. I thought he had an audience of one yesterday, and that audience of one, that one member, was Kendrick Perkins. What did you make of the hazmat suit yesterday with JoJo?
Well, he also had Kyle O'Quinn, who was laughing hysterically
yes,
outside the SUV. Look, I love it. I mean, I got to tell you, I know some people sometimes get upset with Joel sometimes and his personality and fun, but you know what? We need to have fun. And he made me laugh. And during this tough time, we need to laugh. And we need to be able to, stay a little loose because it's so stressful during this time. So when I saw the picture, I laughed. And I said, that's JoJo. And, he kind of looked like an Augusta caddy down there for the Masters.
He did, yes.
Or he was ready for Wimbledon. But look, I laughed. Yeah. And you know what? Joel said it, and a bunch of other players have said it, that they don't really feel comfortable with this. They don't like the idea. And is it going to be safe? Because he has some anxiousness and some fear in his mind, and he's kind of like expressing that in a way. And sure, it might be a shot at Kendrick Perkins, and it should be, because this is a tough situation. And what if you have some other guys who aren't necessarily being as safe, and you're kind of putting your health on the line, and your family's health on the line. So I had no problem with it. Did you guys like it?
We loved it. We thought it was great. I know, earlier we did talk about the other side of it that you referenced, the people that are like, hey, enough with the funny stuff. Let's play basketball. But that's Joel Embiid, and that leads to my next question. Like, of all the players that you've covered in Philadelphia, Joel Embiid, it's rare to find a guy whose attitude of, well, is he having fun, and how well he plays go hand in hand. Like, if he's taking the game too serious, he usually doesn't play well. But if he is having fun, smiling, goofing off and all that, that seems to be when we see the best version of even Joel Embiid, the basketball player.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, think about what he has always said. He's like, I got to get back to being myself, and basically what he likes to do is troll people and fire up the crowd, laugh, smile. And he loves trolling people. Let's face it. And we all love it. I kind of equate it to the 93 Phillies. Remember when John Kruk, comes out? He's overweight. He's got a mullet. He's chewing gum and popping bubbles on the field. Everybody loved John Kruk in 1993 when the Phillies were winning. Then, in 94, when they weren't playing as well, or the year after, whatever it was, John Kruk, he's overweight. His mullet, he doesn't take himself seriously enough. So I think it's all about, is the team winning or doing well? If they are, they're going to love Joel. If the team is the 6th seed and not playing as well, people are going to be like, I'm tired of his act. And really, I think that's all it is.
John, I'm going to take the Eagles out of this question. So let's just go with the startup NHL, NBA, and the 60-game dash that we have for baseball. When all is said and done with those 3 teams, the Flyers, Sixers, and the Phillies, who are we going to be most happy with?
Great question. Honestly, I don't think it's going to be the Phillies just because of the extremely difficult schedule they have, the amount of road games against their tough division and the AL East, and just ridiculous pitching that they're going to face. So I don't think it's going to be the Phillies. That's a great question. I'm thinking that the Sixers are going to surprise some people because Joel is rested. He's only played 44 games this year, and we've heard guys say it. He looks like he's in great shape. Brett Brown, I hate to say it, but Brett has said arguably the best shape of Joel's career. He thinks he's going to be in. Ben is healthy, so I think that this team is rested and fresh, and I think they're going to surprise some people. I really do, because if all you need, Joel, is a healthy Joel in the playoffs. And when he's healthy, the Sixers can win. They would have gone up 3-1 on the Raptors last year if Joel was healthy.
I don't doubt that too much there, John. John, the last thing for
Sounds
me.
Like you are.
No. I'm thinking back to the first 3 games and the gastroenteritis and all that stuff. No, I mean, they were a Joel Embiid away, maybe from going up 3-0 in that series, and certainly not going to a Game 7. That's for damn sure. John, I'm going to ask you this: the DeSean Jackson situation with the Eagles. How do you think this plays out? I know you've been on top of the Julian Edelman stuff that he's put out there. How do you think all this ends up with the Eagles and DeSean?
Well, I spoke to DeSean, and I've been keeping in contact, and you may not believe it, but, he was very naive about this situation. And I know if you see the name Hitler, you should not send out anything related to Hitler. And I still can't get past that point. I still don't get it. But, like even his postings about Farrakhan, he unbelievably really didn't know some of the history of Farrakhan. And so, look, I don't think DeSean Jackson is anti-anybody. I really don't. I think a lot of us have known him in Philadelphia for a long time. And he made a mistake, and I think he realized after the fact, and when he heard from so many people about so many people that he hurt, and, the suffering that Jews have gone through, he can relate in a way with, what he's talking about with what African Americans have gone through. So I think he's getting help now from some influential people in Philadelphia and some Jewish leaders, and I hear that he's going to come together and make a donation, and he's educating himself. So I think the Eagles right now, I know that he apologized to Jeff Lurie and Howie Roseman, And I think the Eagles right now are basically in a wait-and-see mode. I think they will decide DeSean's future when they see that he is backing up what he says he's going to do, and that is promoting equality with all people and Jewish people as most definitely, and action. They want to see DeSean. They want to see action. So I think his employment is still being decided, and it's up to DeSean to show that he is serious and he is really contrite. And so I think over these next 1 or 2 weeks, if DeSean does the right things and really shows seriously that he knows he made a mistake, and promoting equality with African Americans and Jewish people and everybody, I think that he will keep his job. But it is a wait and see thing, in my opinion. And from what I've seen, just DeSean talking to a lot of people in Philadelphia, in the Jewish community, and they're working out some things now. I think he's on the right path. So I think this is a chance for everybody, kind of like the Drew Brees situation, for DeSean to say, "Look, I'm sorry, I messed up. I didn't realize the hurt and pain that would cause, and I was naive and a little uneducated about this." And so let's bring people together, and that's what Julian Edelman and DeSean look like they're going to do. So that's great. I think this is a step in the right direction.
Speaking with John Clark, and I know you spoke to DeSean a couple of weeks ago in a great piece for Uncomfortable Conversations and all that stuff for NBC Sports Philadelphia. You talked to him, though, after the posts as well?
Yes.
And the impression you got was he really didn't know what the hell he was doing.
I don't think he truly understood what that post meant.
Okay.
And from talking to him, he did not study up enough and know the history of Farrakhan. And he did not understand the hate that Farrakhan has spread in other ways previously. Now, I know you may not believe that, and maybe I didn't believe it at first, but from talking to people, they just think DeSean was a little uneducated about a lot of this. But I still can't get past when you see the name Hitler.
Yeah.
You can't in any way associate yourself with that and send out anything with that. So I can't get past that point. But DeSean has realized all the pain. He didn't realize at first all the pain that it would cause.
Right.
And so I think that's a big part of this, is him understanding and hearing from a lot of Jewish leaders in Philadelphia, which he is hearing from them and talking with them. And I think he's finally understanding the pain and what those words mean. And hopefully this can bring some communities together and bring people together more instead of dividing.
Last thing for you on a fun one. I know you're a man of comedy. What are you enjoying on Netflix or any streaming thing right now?
Wow, that's a great question. Yeah, I'm loving. I liked watching the Pete Davidson movie.
Oh, okay, yeah.
King of Staten Island, a little expensive for on demand.
Have you seen Eurovisions, John?
You know what? I just watched Eurovision. Will Ferrell and Rachel McAdams. That was pretty good.
Oh my God!
Yeah, we were like, stupid funny. Jamie and I both gave it like a 2.5 out of 5. But Bob didn't make it through. He made it through what, 18
minutes and 38 seconds.
And then he was out. When they talked to the elves, John, Bob Cooney was out.
Yeah.
Well, I did think it was funny, though, when, apparently the elves came out of the little cottages and then he heard the door slam behind him. I did think that was funny.
That was the payoff.
I usually love stupid comedy. I mean, I watch Impractical Jokers all day long. But I did not connect with this movie as much. I thought it was cool. I liked it.
Yeah.
I lasted through the whole thing, not 18 minutes. But, I don't know if you saw the David Spade movie that came out on Netflix.
Oh, the Wrong Missy or something like that?
Wrong Melissa.
I did see that.
That was pretty funny.
Stupid as hell.
All right, well, John, if you're saying it's funny, I'm going to go watch that because you're the second person that's told me, but I like your opinions more than the other person that told me. So I'm probably going to watch it. John Clark, thanks for coming on with us. I really appreciate it, man. I hope to see you soon, buddy.
I hope to see you guys soon, and I guess Bob won't be taking any of my movie recommendations.
I'm just not a movie guy, John, so don't take it personally.
All
right, buddy.
See you, John.
Thanks.
Take it easy, man. John Clark, how about that?
Mark Farzetta with Bob Cooney and Jamie Lynch. Mornings on 97.5 The Fanatic, Philadelphia.